Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the thumbnail and the intro, we have a new gun for you, but it's also an old gun. It's also a proven gun, but a new spin on it. So what the heck is this thing? Well, it is a Benelli M4. I'm sure many of you guys looking at this would instantly recognize that pattern. However, it is their new 922R model. So what does that mean? Well, it means essentially that it has all of the upgrades that most folks did in the aftermarket in America from the factory, from the folks over at Benelli. So with that, what is it for folks who have no idea? Well, number one, it is a semi-automatic 12 gauge shotgun designed for the tactical use, if you will, or a two-way range. And I'm sure many of you know that law enforcement units as well as militaries around the world have adopted this shotgun. That includes the United States Marine Corps. So it is a very proven gun. In my personal experience, it is one of the most reliable semi-automatic shotguns, which is not something you always get with semi-automatic shotguns I have ever used. There are a couple that have come along in the last few years that are kind of competing for it. However, in terms of longevity, I don't think there's anything out there that competes with it for a tactical or serious or two-way range type of use shotgun that is semi-automatic and will basically shoot just about any type of load that you put through it. So let's walk you guys through what the heck this thing is piece by piece. So first off, you guys can see that the color on this one is actually a factory color. They will have, at least when this video drops, these should be available. They will have this FDE color. They will also have a multicam black that is available, and then of course your traditional black. Now, many of you guys who have watched my channel over the years know that I have a couple Benelli H2O versions, the original H2Os, the ones that weren't Cerakoted. So they haven't made those in a long time, but these ones here are Cerakoted and should hold up very well to corrosion and those sorts of things. We are down here in Florida, and you guys can see that we have had no issues with corrosion at all. And we've had this one in here for a little bit and have been putting a number of rounds through it, both birdshot as well as buckshot as well as slugs. And so far, right up front, we've had zero malfunctions of any kind. We're just over 400 rounds through it so far. So not a ton, but again, this is a super proven platform. And with that, let's walk through what is different about this. So first off, again, 922R in the name, that is a clue, right? So previously when these shotguns were brought in, these are made in Italy for folks who don't know. They had to be made 922R compliant to be sold in America, with the exception of ones that were being sold to police and law enforcement. So what that typically meant was you had a limiter on the magazine, meaning 5 rounds only. You had a fixed stock in one form or another. They've brought these in. Some of them have the stock that kind of looks like this, but it is in the fixed position, in the long position, and other small parts like the follower had to be swapped out for this edition to make it 922R compliant. So from the factory, essentially you get all the things that most of you guys who have purchased Benelli M4s in the past have done with the aftermarket parts again. So we have a 7+1 magazine from the factory, which certainly is nice. You guys can see it does come with that sling swivel QD point there on the left side of the gun. You can swap it if you want, for those who don't know. And underneath the handguard there, we have the Argo system, which is the heart and soul of this shotgun. It's what makes it so reliable, as well as a couple other things that we will talk about here. But what the Argo system does that is cool, and at the time was very different than anything that had come before it, is that it bled off excess gas for whatever loads you were actually running. So some folks will say, and this has been my experience in the past, not with this particular gun, that when you first get one of these in, you want to run some hot loads through it at first 100, 200 rounds, and then after that you can put whatever you want through it and it should cycle just fine. I'm sure the folks over at Benelli have some sort of minimum foot per second that they recommend, but we have shot a ton of different rounds through this so far, as well as probably about 200 rounds of Winchester 1,200 feet per second birdshot, 7.5 shot, and have had zero issues at all in terms of reliability. But it can do that with those weaker loads and also cycle the high brass or the higher powered buckshot and slugs, because underneath the handguard there where the Argo system is, when it gets a lot more powerful round, it just bleeds off the gas. So that way it cycles in a very familiar way, regardless of the ammo that you're actually shooting, and is very reliable because, of course, bolt speed and all of those sorts of things do impact reliability. Now here we're going to roll in some buckshot as well as some birdshot back-to-back overlaid, so you guys can kind of see the recoil impulse of it in slow motion. So one of the pros of the gun, of course, is that reliability. It cycles just about anything. However, one of the cons of it in my opinion, is that with lighter loads, it tends to kick a little bit more than some other shotguns, simply because the lighter loads rather feel exactly like the buckshot. But personally, for me, that higher recoil impulse with the lighter loads is not a problem, because again, I'm buying this shotgun for serious use, and the lighter loads are just stuff to train with, and I am going to be running, buckshot or slugs through it for the intended use of this shotgun, for me anyway. So with that out of the way, that is how it cycles. It's a little bit different than a lot of other semi-automatic shotguns out there. So other details that we haven't covered so far, of course, that it does come threaded for a choke. It takes the Benelli or Beretta choke pattern. So there are a number of different options that you can put in there, pretty much anything your heart desires. Additionally, right now, as of when I'm filming this, it's the end of 2025. In just a few weeks now, suppressors are going to be tax-free, which certainly is nice, and hopefully there will be legislation or court cases that make them off the NFA. So if you guys want to run a suppressor on there, you certainly can do that with that choke pattern. Every major shotgun suppressor that I'm aware of makes an adapter for that thread pattern, so that certainly is a good thing about the Benelli shotguns. Of course, 18.5-inch barrel on there. It's a heavy wall barrel relative to other ones out there. Handguard on there. This is just the standard Benelli M4 handguard. It comes apart in 2 pieces for cleaning. I do have a full how to clean and lubricate a Benelli M4 shotgun video. So we're not going to take this gun apart today, but if you guys are interested in that, definitely check that video out. One thing that's also nice about the M4 handguards is, again, these have been out for a very long time. There's actually clones of them out there on the market as well. So the number of shotgun handguards for this pattern gun that are out there on the market, I mean, is about as high as any other competitive option out there. So if you guys want M-LOK, if you want 1913 or Picatinny rail handguard, you can find them, you can drop them in. There are just a ton of different options for how you want to set your gun up, which certainly is a good thing. Continuing on back to the receiver, we do have a 1913 optic rail on there from the factory. We have our Vortex Defender CCW red dot on that we have been running. Up front there, we do have a white sight, and it is windage adjustable, so you can drift it either way if you guys want to dial in your windage. Additionally, we have a ghost ring sight there on the rear with the 2 white dots. It's both elevation and windage adjustable, again, to dial it in for whatever load you're using. One thing I like about this rear sight, and on my other Benelli M4s that I do have, is that on the front of the sight, it's actually blacked out, so there are no white dots. One thing I personally do, I personally don't like the dots on the rear sight. It is kind of distracting for me. So what I do is actually pull the rear sight out, flip it around, and you can put it back in there. It works just fine. And that way, if you guys don't want the 2 white dots on there, then you can do that. So that is one thing I do like about it. Another thing, in terms of the receiver being drilled and tapped and threaded like it is here with this mount, again, there are a number of different aftermarket mounts out there. So if you want something that's going to mount like an Aimpoint Micro flush, an RMR flush, any of those sorts of things, there are a ton of options out there, more than anything out there on the market that I am aware of anyway. And then continuing on back to the rear, we do have the star of the show. Many of you guys who have bought Benelli M4s in the past have had to spend hundreds of dollars to get an adjustable stock for your shotgun. That is not the case anymore. It comes from the factory with this guy here. It's a 5-position adjustable stock. You don't have to twist it like some of the previous versions. It just goes in and out and locks. So that is your all the way out position. You guys have been probably seeing me shoot it in this position as well as in the 1-in position there, just kind of depending on how much you want to square up when you're firing the shotgun, or if you're wearing body armor or something like that. You'll note there that we do have our traditional sling strap attachment point as well as the QD sling there attachment point, and then we have a few other things going on here on the receiver that are a little bit different. Number one is going to be the charging handle there. It is oversized versus the ones that I have in the past. I had to upgrade that part on the ones that I currently own, or have previously owned, I should say. And from the factory, it comes with that nice oversized charging handle, making it very easy to run it, whether or not you're trying to clear a malfunction, kick a shell out, whatever the case may be. It is very easy to hit. You're not going to miss it. Additionally, the same is true for the bolt release. So if you have it locked back, it's very easy to hit that bolt release, send it home, and get back in the fight. Many of you guys may have noticed exactly what I was hitting right there. It's that button right there that actually causes the bolt to lock back, and that way you can do whatever you want up here in the receiver, whether you're switching out loads, things like that. One of the beauties of a shotgun is there's just so many different things that you can do with it, so many different things you can fire through it. But whenever you're done and you pop around in there and you want to send it home, that is how you send it home. Take note, Tim Walls, he had a very hard time with this, very famously on video. That is how it's done, Tim.
That's my theory, and it never fits quite right. Never fits quite right. Just not quite right. How do you give it back?
Governor, what kind of gun is it?
This was a Beretta A400. I bought it when I was shooting a lot of trap because it has a
and then lastly, in terms of controls, we do have our safety right there, which is a cross bolt safety. So basically, it is set up for right-handed shooters. Lefties, I don't know what to tell you on that one. It is what it is, but basically the way I do it, and that I've always done it as a right-handed shooter, is I just take my knuckle and push it over and then get on the trigger. And then when I'm done firing, I just actually hit it with my left hand. So that way it's very simple. It's a very simple manual of arms in that regard. It is not lefty friendly though, but I would imagine there's a ton of lefties probably watching this video. If you guys have tips for how to do it as a lefty that is a little bit more seamless, please feel free to let us know. Additionally, let's talk about that trigger. It's really good. So basically you're on the wall right when you start out and it breaks maybe 4.5, 5 pounds. It's excellent. And then of course the reset, very short, very tactile. You are right back on it, breaks clean. So if you want to hunt this gun, whatever load that you want to use for that, you're not going to miss because it has a bad trigger. The trigger itself is simply excellent. I'm sure everyone wants to know, can you ghost load this version of the Benelli? As you guys can see there, we have it ghost loaded. So we have 7 in the tube, 1 underneath the carrier, and then 1 in the chamber. It's just 1,200 foot per second Winchester. Again, all the ammo comes from our friends over at Firearms Depot. We definitely appreciate their support and sponsorship here of the ammo. Now, let's see if it runs ghost loaded. Ran just fine. At this point in the video, I think I've told you guys most of the important things about the shotgun. There's a few other things that we haven't mentioned that we will before closing it out. Of course, price point is going to be one of them. We already talked about reliability. It's been 100% reliable to date. My other M4s, I think I might have had one malfunction ever in well over a decade owning them and many thousand rounds. So the reliability is simply phenomenal in my opinion. Let's talk about a con. So one of the things that is nice about it before we get to the con is going to be our actual follower there. Our shell follower is American made, of course. And if I didn't mention it earlier, the 922R compliance that is done on these guns is all done in Maryland at the Benelli headquarters there, Benelli USA. So one of the things they do there is put that high vis follower in there, which certainly is nice having that aluminum follower. One of the cons though is when you go to load this gun, I'll see if I can do it here on camera, is when we go ahead and load it right there. Where my thumb is, it is pinching me way more than it should with that lifter. And every now and then you can get it just fine, but that lifter, it's got a little sharp edge on it that after this video, I am going to clean that up and make that a non-issue, but that definitely is a con of it from the factory. The other thing you guys are going to want to know, of course, is price point. Benellis are not inexpensive. They never have been. And again, one thing you have to consider with this versus the other versions that have come in before is that it has all the things that you'd buy aftermarket already on it from the factory. So you guys should see the MSRP for this model being rolled in here on your screen. What it will actually be available for, I'm not sure, because again, I'm making this video before this gun is actually publicly announced. But if you guys are watching on Rumble or on X, there will be links down below for you guys to pick one up. They'll be the cheapest that I know of for this model out there. But you have to keep in mind, again, like I said, if you buy a base M4, you're going to spend several $100s to get it similar to this configuration, and this configuration is coming in from the factory as it is. But again, the M4s have never been inexpensive. That's not what they want to be. That's not really where they market themselves. They want to be, you know, the best, if you will, in terms of a semi-automatic tactical shotgun. And I definitely think it's a contender for that. As I've said over the years here on the channel, I've been very consistent on that. I don't think I've ever recommended anyone not buy a Benelli M4 outside of the price point, right? So price point absolutely is not for everybody, but if it is for you and you want a gun that you can depend on and one that you very likely will be able to hand down to generations in your family, it definitely is one I would look at. Also, just full disclosure, I figured many of you guys have already figured this out, but the fact that I'm filming this before the gun has been announced is indicative that Benelli did send this gun out for the review. So just full disclosure on that, they did send it out. But again, The video doesn't lie. The gun has eaten everything, as you guys have seen. We have had absolutely zero issues with it. And very likely after this video, I am going to do one change to this gun. I'm going to make a handguard on there, probably M-lock, that I can run a light on, and I'll probably swap the sling to the other side. And this will be one of my go-to shotguns for home defense or self-defense. It absolutely will be. I have full faith in this gun because I have full faith in all of my Benellis. This is going to add itself to the staple, if you will. So that is about as high of an endorsement as I can give just about any gun. I absolutely would trust it for self, home defense, whatever the task is at hand. It'll do it here if you want a shotgun to do that particular task. So with that, if you guys have any questions, you can always post those down below in the comment section. You can also post those at my various social media sites that you guys see down below here on your screen. Additionally, if you like this video and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button because we do reviews like this all the time here on the channel. If you have hit subscribe both on YouTube and Rumble, and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week, then you are being censored by an algorithm from my content. Easy way around that is to sign up for the email at the website here on your screen. This will get you put on 2 different emails. They are 2 distinct email lists. One of them, it just goes out once a month and it has all the videos since the previous month's email. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content because all the videos are right there in the email. And then it will also get you put on the daily deals list. So that goes out pretty much every day, as the name indicates, and it has typically 8 to 10 of the best deals that we find around the internet, whether it be on optics, ammo, accessories, stocks, firearms, lights, lasers, whatever the case may be. If the item is in the email on a given day, it's the cheapest I know of for that item. So hopefully it saves you guys some time and saves you some money because I've already done the price comparisons for you. Additionally, there's usually a good meme in there that a lot of you folks will like as well. So if you guys want to sign up just for the memes, you certainly can do that. Additionally, we do have an SMS or a text list that you guys can sign up for by just texting the code here on your screen to the number that you guys see here on your screen, or gear, I should say, to the number on your screen. Or you can head over to the website, mrgunsandgear.com/SMS, and you guys can sign up the old-fashioned way. Either way, we'll get you put on the list, and that will go out at most once a day, and it's typically not even every day. What I text out is either a new video that just dropped, once again, getting around the algorithm, or a smoking deal that very likely will sell out. So that way you guys can get it right in your text inbox and pick the item up before it sells out, because there are some hot deals. Every now and then they show up, and when they do, I will send it to your text box if you are signed up. And with that, I think that's pretty much all I have for you. Thank you all for watching. I truly appreciate it. Thank you to the folks at Benelli for sending this out, to Firearms Depot for sending the ammo. We appreciate that. And thank you for watching. Once again, we will see all of you in the next video.